head coach of the ACC champion Virginia Tech Hokies, Frank Beamer. And Coach, you've now been here multiple times over the past few years. Any preparations different for this year's Discover Orange Bowl as opposed to any previous year?
Not really. Last couple of years we've approached our bowl games a little bit differently, and we're following that this year. A few more practices, a little bit tougher practices, curfew, and really, these bowl games, and the Orange Bowl does such a great job of providing the opportunities to really take your kids and enjoy a week. And down here in South Florida, do some things. Kids went to a basketball game last night, and so they do such a great job of that. And you want them to enjoy the experience, but your main goal here is to get ready to play a football game against a really good Stanford football team, and a game that you're going to remember probably forever. You play a lot of football games, and you can't remember what exactly took place, but I think most of us are going to remember what took place against Stanford in the Orange Bowl. So that's been our purpose, and I think we've had a good week of practice. I think the attention to detail has been good, and I think our kids understand how important this football game is.
Okay, we've got a couple of microphones floating around the room. I'll start over here on the right in the third row.
Hey, Frank, how rewarding has the success of your offense been this year, considering that, it's something that some of your fans had been down on? You had been winning games recently, but some of the people wondered how good you could be if your offense scored more, put up more points, and I know you would have liked to seen it be more productive at times. How rewarding has it been, and especially because you were a guy who always stuck with Brian along the way, and to see it kind of pay off?
Yeah, I think usually you're as good as coach as your players. And I think we've had a lot of good defensive players over the years, and we've been good on defense. And we've had a lot, I think this year we had some really good offensive players, starting with our quarterback, and we were really good on offense. So generally speaking, I know people get tied into a lot of things, but generally speaking, it all gets back down to your players and how ready they are to perform.
Over here on the left in the second row.
Hey, Coach. Yesterday you said that you feel like this is a very, very important game as far as the history of Virginia Tech football goes. Could you elaborate on why you feel that way?
Well, you're playing a top 5 football team that deserves to be there. They're the highest-ranked one-loss team in the country. You watch that Oregon game, and they're very, very close. Had everything worked out after that, had they beat Oregon, to be playing for a national championship. And then I think our record at Virginia Tech, and not all of them are under me, but we're 1 for 27, and quite a few of them are. And when we played a top 5 football team. And so I think for us, we've been there, we played for a national championship, but I think, as you go along, to state that you're one of the top programs in the country, you got to get your share of wins against the top 5 team, and this is a real, for real top 5 team. And so that's why I think it's very important.
We're standing up in the back right.
Frank, with their quarterback getting so much emphasis and a lot of conversation about him, do people lose track of the fact that they're a really tough two-dimensional team and really hard to get them in one dimension like most defenses like to do?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of points there. And he is certainly a quality quarterback that can throw, and stats show that. But the stats also show that they're a really good running football team. And the stats also show that he's a really good runner when he needs to. And you kind of lose that, and that's why I think they're such a tough team to defend, is that they can run the football and they can throw the football. And when you get teams that are very, very good at doing both, those are the hard ones to slow down.
I'll go all the way to the left.
Frank, you were speaking a minute ago about, obviously want to make sure the kids enjoy the experience and all of those things. Given what the perceptions were about your team 6 days into the season, have you allowed yourself to enjoy the build-up to this game in particular, maybe more than other bowls in the past?
I'm certainly appreciative of where we were and where we've gotten to from where we were. And I think everybody, feels that. But I've learned in this business, it's always that next ball game, and you better go and you better get ready, and you lose that last one, and just people are not happy. And then you got to go to all those Hokie Club meetings, and people are not happy. And so I kind of, I'm very appreciative, and I really like this football team. I really like the kids on our football team. But I know this: we need to win the next one.
All right, go on the left on the inside aisle.
Coach, having gone through your own program turnaround in the early 90s and now 18 straight bowl trips, can you appreciate what Coach Harbaugh has done in just 4 years at a place like Stanford?
I'm going to tell you, it's really amazing, and he and his staff deserve a lot of credit. They got the quarterback, and when you got that guy, you got a chance, and they had that guy, but they built off of that. And then I think you look at their defense, and I think when you over there defensively, if you can score points, it makes your defense better. You just, hey, let's get 3 and out and get their offense back on the field. You play a little bit harder, play a little bit better. So your quarterback, I think, makes your whole football team better. And certainly in their case, they brought in people. You look at their team physically, and they're big. They're big in every area. The defensive backs are big. They're more like an NFL team. When you look at them, and and so I think they've done a great job of recruiting and recruited the kind of kids they want, and they're tough. They're physical. They play hard nosed. Play very efficient. I really give Jim a lot of credit. I think they've done a great job.
I'll go one seat back, stand on your left.
Frank, you said before practice yesterday you're anxious to see how Ryan Williams did in practice. How did he do, and do you still feel he's a game-time decision?
Yeah, he did better. We're going back and meet as a staff here in a few minutes, and I'll see where Billy and Ryan are right now, but Coach Heighton and Ryan. But I thought he looked better yesterday than he had, as far as just moving around and getting around.
Standing up by the door all the way to the right.
Frank, in reference to, or in answering Paul's question, you talked about the importance of beating a top 5 team, but you're not a stranger to playing top 5s. You played one in Boise in the season opener, but yet it seems like you've embraced this opportunity a little bit more, and maybe even ratcheted up the pressure on your team to win this game a little bit more. Is this because you think this team is capable of handling it better than maybe at the season opener? Just the stress of the importance of beating a top 5?
Well, I told our football team, a lot of those, I know the top 5s that we played, and when we played them, a lot of those games we weren't good enough to beat the team at the time. But I do feel like we're good enough now. And so, I think I think it becomes important for a program to get your share of wins. When you go out there and play every week, and I was talking with Mike Finn over there, in our conference, you go out there and you play in good competition. It's hard to win each and every Saturday, and it's hard to beat a top 5 football team, but you got to get your share of them. So that's where I think we are.
All right, over here left.
Yeah. One of the interesting things about college football is it's still kind of regional. Is there any difference between West Coast football and East Coast football? Unless you have like maybe one player from California on your team, are California athletes different than East Coast athletes? And do you use the West Coast East Coast thing in terms of motivation for this game?
No. Particularly when I look at Stanford, I don't know how it is. We played California and got it handed to us in the bowl game a few years back, but when I look at this Stanford team, I don't, whether they're on the West Coast or whether they're on the East Coast, they're tough, they're efficient, they hard nosed. I think they're just good, you know, regardless of what coast they're from.
All right in the middle of the section on your right.
Frank, Rock talked the other day about sort of boiling over at before practice that Monday after JMU, that he kind of got up and went off on a bunch of the guys, and that maybe initially you were worried about how some of the team would react to that, and you kind of told him you can't talk to everybody like that, you know, maybe call a meeting and clean it up. I guess what was your first reaction when he did that at practice, and then as the results have sort of shown themselves, and some of the other guys said that kind of lit a fire, was it, as it turns out, the right thing for him to do?
I think all of our seniors, you know, had the same want to, but I think what you got to do is be careful how you express that to other people and how other people accept that. But I think it all turned out fine. I think everybody understands Rashad has got a big heart, and he cares a lot, and he puts a lot into it, and he wanted his football team to be good, and I think that's the way it was taken in the end.
And then, I guess, did you ever have a similar moment to that one where somebody, one of the leaders, kind of grabbed everybody by the face mask in that '95 season that kind of helped turn it around?
Well, yeah, I know J.C. Price at the time, when we got to the bowl game, he kind of set the rules. Hey, we're going to be in at this hour, and we're going to prepare this way. And Jim Barron, I think, was right in the middle of that. So, I think with every team, if you've lost your first two ball games, which we did, and you come back, you got to go back and look. I mean, there was some good leadership and some guys that really cared and that, went through your football team. So I think it probably happened back in '95 and with a couple guys there, and I think it happened this year.
All the way to the right in the second row.
Frank, you've had a remarkable feat of getting to 18 straight bowl games. When we were talking to Coach Harbaugh earlier, he said he would favor a playoff system, and I was wondering how you feel about that idea.
I think what we got is getting closer to working all the time. A few years back, or a couple years back, it was like the 4 teams, 2+1 deal. Play 2 games and the 2 winners play. And I thought that was kind of where it was going to go, because I thought there was so much right with that. And the reason I felt that is we played Auburn in the Sugar Bowl, and I forget what year it was, but they were undefeated along with 2 other teams. But when you played them, you realized this team, Auburn, was really good enough that they should have had a chance to win a national championship. So, there was 3 undefeated teams that year. I think most years you can look at it, and this year maybe it's a little bit different, but most years you can look at it and there's about 4 teams that's really capable or really should be and talked about, winning a national championship. So if you got those 4 teams together and then the 2 after that, then I think you'd have the perfect formula as far as I'm concerned. The thing that I don't want to see go away are the bowl games. I just think they're right for college football. I think there's a lot of good to it. The experience we've had down here with the Orange Bowl people and our kids' experience, and our fans come in town 3 or 4 days early and enjoy themselves. I don't want to see that go away. And when I was in 1AA football, I was in the playoffs, and you know exactly how it goes. You're going to go in on Friday, play on Saturday, you're right back out, and if you win, you're getting ready for the next game. And it's totally different. And and even with the format as it is now, we got the number 1 and 2 team this year, and so we're closer. I think if we ever could just get it to, the 4 teams, and I think and you say, well, there's controversy about the third team, and if you had 4 teams, it'd be controversy about the fifth team. But I don't think that fifth team is nearly, in most cases, as much a conversation as that third team could be for the national championship. So, but as far as I'm concerned, I want to keep it the way it is and keep on working with it and keep on getting it better and make sure we keep our bowls in place. And, that's the way I see it.
Any other questions for Coach Beamer?
Yeah, Paul.
Bring the microphone over.
This is a little off the bowl topic, but I know you're good friends with Ralph Friedgen. He went out very well the other day, but I wondered about your thoughts on the whole situation there and where college football is going when something like that happens.
We had 2 coaches fired in the ACC this year. I guess it's in the ACC, and then up at West Virginia, which we're familiar with, where you got winning records, you're going to a bowl, and still, that's the way it is. Whether it's right, in Ralph's case, what I know.